I called the surgeon, and when we called the surgeon's office to make an appointment, the appointment setter said, "Oh, yeah, we got your referral on Wednesday. We've been waiting for you to call." Wednesday was, of course, the day of the biopsy. So they actually had referred me to the surgeon before my biopsy results came in. Going into this appointment, I really felt like, okay, great, I'm gonna have all the answers, and I'm not. I'm fighting this. I'm beating it. So I was pretty much ready to like go into that appointment and be like, okay, well, what do we need to do? We need to chop the titties off. We need to like, do we start tomorrow? Do I take off next week? Like, when is the surgery happening? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Let's do it. And of course, that is not how it went down. I got to the surgical appointment, and the surgeon was great. I also felt really comforted because a whole year ago, I had had a dream that I was in a hospital and there was a red lump of coal in my body. It was actually down near my ovaries. And the doctor said, "We found cancer." And she said, "Oh, but you're lucky we found it early." And so going into that appointment, what I really wanted to know about the surgeon was, is she going to be interested in me and saving me? Will she see herself in me? Um, Things like that. And when she walked in the room, she asked me about my family. And then she said, just like in my dream, "You're so lucky we caught this early." And I was like, yeah, okay. So that appointment goes like this. I went into the surgeon's office. They did a physical exam. She had an ultrasound machine, so she looked at my tumor on her own. And then we went into a treatment, not a treatment room, like it was like a cozy office, like lounge area, where they gave me this big 3-ring binder, filled with an abundance of information about breast cancer, surgeries, everything. She said, well, your receptor information came in, but not all of it. And so this is how we'll talk about receptors. So imagine my hand is the tumor, and these 3 fingers are receptors. One of the receptors is an estrogen receptor, one is a progesterone receptor, and the other one is called HER2. And typically, if someone has these receptors, then it's an indication to doctors and oncologists and whoever, all those great people. It indicates how your tumor grows. Like, basically, what does it eat to get bigger? And I had 2 of my test results in, but the third one had come back inconclusive. And so the first result was estrogen, and I was estrogen negative, meaning that estrogen was not feeding my tumor. What this means from a treatment perspective is that you can't suppress estrogen and think that my tumor will shrink because my tumor's not using it. The second test that came back was my progesterone test, and I was progesterone negative. So progesterone was not feeding my tumor. My HER2 results were inconclusive. They came back as what's called non-equivalent, and so they had to be sent out for further testing, a test called a FISH test. And that test would take an additional 7 to 10 days. And until the results of that test came back, it would not be possible to recommend a treatment plan. So at this point, based on simply the size of my tumor, and there was no indication at that point or any signs that it spread to my lymph nodes, I was a stage 1 invasive ductal carcinoma. Now, I had done my research. I knew that if my HER2 came back as negative, that would make me officially a triple negative breast cancer. I was on this roller coaster. I had some information, but not enough information. And the one piece of information that I did leave the doctor's office with was that I would absolutely need to have chemo. I had a couple more appointments, so I met with a second surgeon, and I also had an MRI. When I met with the second surgeon, she really focused a lot on, she thought that we could go in, do a lumpectomy, get rid of it. She thought we could do it first before chemo. She really focused a lot on just keeping me aesthetically looking nice for myself. And she talked about, we could lift your boobs up and stuff. And I wasn't really focused on that. And my husband said in the appointment, like, we ain't worried about that. We're worried about how are we eradicating this cancer out of her body, whatever the scars are. And I know I say that lightly, not having gone through it, because I know that that part will also be a journey, but like that wasn't the focus. It was like, what do we do and how do we do it? And the day before my oncology appointment, the doctor's office called and they canceled the appointment because my test results had not come back in yet. I was like, oh my gosh, I just thought I was gonna lose it. I was in my office working, and I went upstairs to tell my husband, and I was upset. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, my MRI results." And he actually, when I got up there, he looked like sad, and he had this look on his face. And I was like, "Oh, did you get my MRI results too?" And so he says, "Your fish results came in, and you are triple negative." That day felt more tears. It was a lot because I found out I was triple negative. I found out my tumor was larger. I found out that it looked like it was spreading to my lymph nodes. And it was all information that I had been waiting on and that I wanted to get, but getting it is different. And so, again, I just cried. And the reality set in that I had triple negative invasive ductal carcinoma. That became very scary for me because what I had read about triple negative was that it was aggressive and that um, it was different. When you stepped over into triple negative, that's when survival rates started to go down. And all I could think about was my kids. And I was like, well, not an option. It's not an option. It's not an option to be on the other side of of the survival rate. It's not an option. All right, thanks for tuning in today. If you like this video, click the like button and don't forget to subscribe.